Hello, Namaskar all. This is Durga Prasad Adhikary, bringing you here with the series of MUMUKSHU, the MUMUKSHU that we have planned. Basically, it is quick revision session for the philosophy optional. So today we are starting with Charvak. So one thing to say before that as I'm trying to be as detailed as possible. However, as I'm not in touch with the subject for last few days, there might be something that I would be missing or something. So I will try to see how can I include it later. But however, I thought that I need to start it, so we are starting here with the session on Charvak. So now basically we must be knowing the first school of philosophy of Indian philosophy, that is paper one, is Charvak. So this is a very quick revision thing, and this is not a substitute for the general classes. This is only a supplementing or a complementing thing for your preparation, and this would act as a quick revision for philosophy. So now let us start. So this is Charvak school. We can see the Charvak. What does Charvak mean? Charvak means Charu plus Vak, that is just a minute, I'll change the color of the pen. Yeah, so this is Charu plus Vak, that is nice words. So this school is a heterodox school. Heterodox means they don't uh, believe on the authority of Vedas. This is also called Nastika, just because they don't believe on the authority of Vedas. And this is said to be skepticism but thoroughgoing positivism. Why? Because they believe in materialism. So basically, when we will see that the Charvak school, there are two parts to it. Or we can say there are three parts. One is epistemology, that deals with the knowledge and its source. Then another is the metaphysics, that deals with the God, soul, and the world, how they are created and how do you describe that. And the third part is ethics, the ethics part of Charvak. So basically, when you will see that Charvak is something that believes only in materialism, that they believe that only that you will see that they only believe that the matter is the only reality over here. So matter is the only reality. You can see that the sources for Charvak school are, you can see that Sarva Darshan Samgraha by Madhvacharya. He is also said to be the Vidyaranya, who was one of the very important figures that led to the establishment of Vijayanagara Empire. Then another we have is Tattva Paplava Simha by Jayarasi Bhatta, wherein he has described various different philosophies, and one among them is Charvak. And in fact, Jayarasi Bhatta is also said to be one of the follower of Charvak philosophy. So regarding Charvak school, it is also called Lokayatvad. Many say it is Lokayatmavad. Anything it is fine. It comes from Ayatah Lokeshu. That means it is a philosophy that deals with the world, that deals and talks about the world. Then it is also called the Jadavad. Jadavad, why? Because it is the theory of matter. Because they believe that matter is the only reality, and mind and consciousness don't have any independent existence of its own, and it is formed out of matter. Epiphenomenon means it is byproduct. So it is byproduct of matter. So that's why it is said. Again, we have discussed that Charvak means Charu plus Vak, that is nice words. So basically, this is regarding the starting of the Charvak. So now we will see. Now we'll see how do we define all those things. So basically, what I've done for value addition, we need to have some slokas ready with us. So these are the set of 10 slokas. So you can remember whatever you want. Basically, we will start from here. So the first thing, if we'll go deeper, let us start from epistemology itself, and we will come back to slokas when the times come. So epistemology, Charvak only believe on perception as the only praman. What is perception? Perception is pratyaksh praman. So that is when the sense object and the sense organs and the object come in direct contact, and what we feel, like the five sense organs, like the touch, hear, and all those things, they are perception. So they feel that the perception is the only praman, and they don't believe in any other proofs or the pramans. So basically, once they believe that perception is the only praman, that is, you can remember the first sloka over here, that is pratyakshamevam ekam pramanam. You can see it is very easy to remember sloka, that is pratyakshamevam ekam. Ekam means one, and that is the only praman that over here. So they see that perception is the only praman, and that's why they deny the inference, that is anuman, upaman is comparison, and testimony is sabda. So again, the next thing that comes is, why do they believe only in perception? Because the only perception deals with the only, because by perception only we can feel the matter. Rest all other things like the consciousness and all those things, we cannot feel it, we cannot touch them, we cannot hear them. They are all very internal. So that's why Charvaks outrightly rejects them, because they cannot be perceived. So very basically, if you see, the whole of the Charvak philosophy is based on one single thing, that is the pratyakshamevam ekam pramanam. That is, the perception is the only praman, and out of that they have derived every other thing. So in their quest to only define perception, now they are rejecting inference. So how they are rejecting inference? So they are saying that vyapti is the logical or the nerve of the inference. So by rejecting vyapti, they can also reject the whole of the inference. So how do they reject vyapti? Now the first thing that comes is that they are rejecting vyapti by perception. They say that vyapti is the relation between hetu and sadhya. What they say, you must be aware of that. I am not going to describe that. So they say that vyapti cannot be done by perception alone. Vyapti cannot be proved by perception, because to perceive every incidence of vyapti, that means you have to perceive every incidence of vyapti, and which is not possible. So that's why they say that this is theory of illicit generalization. That is, you cannot see 10 things, 10 incidents, and you say that this is the normal thing. What Charvak says, for you to say that sun rises in the east, you must every day observe that the sun will rise in the east. You cannot say that tomorrow also sun will rise in the east, because you have not seen that, you have not perceived that. What we are telling is by inference. So here they are outrightly rejecting inference by perception. Now they again comes to vyapti, that can inference be rejected by, can vyapti be accepted by inference? Again here they say that to prove inference you need to prove vyapti, and again to prove vyapti, if you are using inference, then it is the principle of dependency, the circular fallacy. What they say is the petito principi. This is the this thing. Next they say that can we prove vyapti by upaman, that is comparison. Again they say that vyapti cannot be proved by upaman, because it itself is another kind of inference, and so it has no independent status of its own. Further they say that when you are comparing a thing, you are seeing two things and you are comparing them. That's why it is a sub part of perception itself, that is the pratyaksh praman. So that's why they are again saying that by upaman you cannot prove vyapti. And what do they have to say about testimony? So testimony are of two types. One is of Vaidika and other is Apta Purusha. So testimony is Sabda Praman. So what they say that they don't believe on Vedas. That's why they are Nastika. So what do they say about Vedas? They say that the Vedas are created by the cunning and evil priests who have created the Vedas for their own benefit. And that's why they say that Vedas we cannot accept as though it is Vedas is the ultimate authority. And regarding the Apta Purushas, they say that the Apta Purushas have created it for their own use. And further, if you are to believe a Apta Purusha that he is telling truth, then you must be inferring that his authority is good enough so that we can accept him. Again, you are using inference to believe on the Apta Purusha. So you are again using inference to prove testimony, and you are using it for vyapti. Then so that's why it cannot be accepted. So you can see that here they have not accepted any of the proofs other than perception. They have the same reason is also used for denying the individual proofs as well, the inference, upaman and testimony. So you can see that the only thing that gets established over here is pratyakshamevam ekam pramanam. Now going back to the slokas, what do they say? This is again that swayam asiddha param katham sadhyati. This is, they say, for vyapti. Why? They say that vyapti itself, swayam asiddha means vyapti itself cannot be proved. So how can you prove inference by vyapti? Swayam asiddha param katham sadhyati. It's like we say, na, you yourself are false. How can you say that this thing is true? So that is why they use for vyapti. Next, there is another thing. This is anvrita vyaghata. This is again, I don't know what happened. Yes. So this is again anvrita vyaghata punarukta doshevyaha. This they have used for the Vaidika things, Vedas and all. Vedas, Sabda Praman. What they have said that anvrita means it itself is false. Vyaghata means it has many contradictions, and Punarukta means it is tautologous. So the Vedika Suktas are full of falsity, contradictory, and they are tautologous. Tautologous means they are getting repeated themselves. Like Punarukta. Punarukta means you are telling it again and again. So they are saying that the Vedas also are not good. So that's why here. So we have discussed 3 slokas. Now we will discuss other slokas as and when they come. So this is the epistemology. So now here what we have seen, epistemology deals with the knowledge and its sources. So now we have seen that for the knowledge and its sources, they only believe in the perception. And I am again repeating the sloka so that you can write it over in the answer sheet. That is pratyakshamevam ekam pramanam. So that's it. Now the next thing that we will go is the further metaphysics. So now for the metaphysics parts means, again I have said that metaphysics deals about God, soul and world. These three things are described by metaphysics. Metaphysics is beyond physics. That's why it is called metaphysics. It is physics of physics. So how do you define God, soul and world? World. It is not word, it is world. So what they are saying over here is, so as we have seen that they have accepted only perception as the only praman. That's why they will not accept anything that cannot be seen. So here they are denying spiritualism. They are only accepting materialism. That's why it is a thoroughgoing materialistic school. So basically we will come across a word that is called hedonism, that is sensual pleasures. So it is derived from the materialism. So so as we proceed from it, we will automatically see that they don't believe in God, because God cannot be perceived. We cannot perceive a soul. The soul here is not direct soul. We will discuss it later. That they don't believe in the soul that is eternal and the transcendental soul. They don't believe in heaven because we cannot see that. They don't believe in rebirth and adrashta. What is adrashta? Adrashta is the basis of the theory of karma. So they don't believe that what you sow, so shall you reap. So don't believe that there is a supreme law that guides each and every karma. So they deny adrashta as well. So what we've seen that it follows from their epistemology. So now again we have, as you must be knowing, that in a basic Hindu philosophy there are panchabhuta, five bhutas. Five bhutas means that is earth, water, fire, air and space. So now Charvaka, we can see earth, we can feel water, we can feel fire, we can feel air, but we cannot feel space. This is Akasha. So the Charvaka, they deny Akash as well because we cannot perceive it. So they are not accepting Akash, and that it, as it is not perceptible. So basically out of Panchabhutas, they are accepting only four basic elements. So that's why it is said the Bhuta Chatushtaya. Bhuta Chatushtaya, what they are accepting, that Apa Maruta Teja Khiti, not Khati, Khiti. So this is Bhuta Chatushtaya, and further they are saying that there is no teleology, there is no goal. That means there is no ultimate purpose why this world has been created. So that's why they are bringing in here two theories. One is Swabhavad and another is Yadrachavad. What is Swabhavad? What they are saying, that the material atoms, the four types of material atoms, that the earth, water, fire and air, they combine out of their own nature. That is Swabha. They are combined out of own nature, and that is very spontaneous. There is no ultimate rule or law that asks them to combine in certain things. They combine spontaneously as per their nature, and because of that they also believe in naturalism. So as they combine out of their own nature, we are getting Swabhavavad, and they use this to describe the world. Why a table is a table, why a chair is a chair, why a table is not chair, because you have said that there is no ultimate rule in which they combine. So they are saying that a table is a table because they combine, the material atoms combine out of their own nature. So you can see that inherent nature of things, cause of the diversity, because they combine out of their own nature, they combine out of their own swabha. That's why we have this diversity of things. Then another thing is that they are saying, as we have discussed, there is no teleology or goal. They are saying there is no purpose. This leads to the school of accidentalism. What they use the term, that is Yadrachavad. It is very important term. We must use it. And that's why they are saying there is no conscious purpose. There is no God who has created this out of any conscious purpose. There is no inherent necessity. Nature has no cause. It is the cause of itself. Nature cannot be caused. It is the cause of itself. And basically we will see that as they cannot perceive, they don't believe on the law of causation and the universality. Because if I go back later, what Nyaya school says that as we have said that inference cannot be proved, by Charvaka has said that inference cannot be proved, but the Nyaya school uses that there is something called Samanya Lakshan Pratyaksh Praman, Samanya Lakshan Pratyaksh Praman, where there is something like universality, and here they have denied that universality as well. So now this is a very logical outcome of their epistemology, that is the Pratyaksham evam ekam pramanam, that perception is the only praman. Now we will go to the sloka. Can we see? Yes, there is something that Prithvi Apaha Teja Vayu iti tattvani. Here they are saying about Bhuta Chatushtaya, that is Prithvi Apa Vayu Teja iti tattvani. These are the things. Now, now we will go to the Atman or soul. We have discussed that God, soul. So here they are denying that there is no God. Now we are going to soul. So what they are saying, that there is no such invisible, unchangeable and immortal soul. But they are saying that what is soul? They're so saying that the soul is the product of the matter. It is the matter, it is out of the matter that the soul is produced. That is, there is no existence outside the body or the quality of soul. Basically, in Hinduism, what we have seen, that when I die, I get rebirth. That is why I leave my body, but my soul transmigrates from one body to another. But what the Charvak says, that there is no such soul that transmigrates from one body to another. Rather, the soul is this conscious living body. They perceive it means the perceiving body in the conscious state. That's why the Charvak say that the soul is the conscious living body. And what you see, that every part of my body has the soul is perceived throughout the part of my body. This body plus my consciousness is itself the soul. That brings us to the concept of another term, that is the Dehatmavad. What is Dehatmavad? Because the Atma and the Deha are the Atma is the conscious living body. This is the Dehatmavad, and this is again the soul is Bhuta Chaitanyavad. Bhuta Chaitanyavad means Bhuta means the elements. This body is made about of the elements and the consciousness. When they are termed, this is the soul. So now the very important question comes that how do the soul come? How does the consciousness comes? Because every element is born out of all the four elements that you have said, that earth, water, fire and air. So how do something have consciousness and some don't have? So basically for that they say that the elements combine in a particular ratio and quantity, and in those particular ratio and quantity the consciousness comes out. So they give two examples, just like they say that the molasses on fermentation gives intoxicant, because when you will see that the molasses before fermentation, they don't have any intoxicant qualities. But when they are fermented, like a very special functioning happens, the situation changes, the same non-intoxicant is turned into intoxicant. That is which is the like the what you feel like when you drink alcohol. So that they have given. This is one example. Then another example is that betel leaf and supari gives the reddish tinge. You must have seen that when we eat the betel leaf and supari, we have a reddish tinge on our leaf. Individually, betel leaf or the suparis, they cannot give the reddish tinge. Rather, when the betel leaf and suparis and all those conditions come together, we get the reddish tinge. So they say that when all the four elements get together in a very particular combination, then what we have is the life, that is the consciousness. So that's why here comes the very important line, that soul or the consciousness is the epiphenomenon or the byproduct of the matter. So it is byproduct of the matter. They again say the very important thing, that as the liver secretes bile, matter secretes consciousness, and the result of emergent and dialectical evolution. We will see the dialectical evolution later on in a next separate video on here, maybe Hegel. But now we must remember that it is the result of emergent and dialectical evolution. So now let us go to the sloka part. Can we remember? Yes. What they have seen, that Chaitanya Visishta Dehameva Atma. This is again the Bhuta Chaitanyavad. The Chaitanya Visishta Deha. Chaitanya is consciousness and the body. Visishta Deha means body. The Chaitanya and Deha combined are the Atma. Then another is that Tat Samudaya Sarirendriya Sangya Tevyas Chaitanyam. That they say that when these four elements, Tat Samudaya means when these four elements get joined with these things, they get combined in a particular proportion, we get the sarir means the body, indriya means the sense organs, and sangya means our consciousness. So tevyas chaitanyam. So with all those things, the sangya means the knowing power, and with all those things we get the consciousness or the soul. Then another example is that what we have said, that kim vadibhyo madasakti vatavigyanam. This means that the example of the fermentation, with like the molasses on fermentation gives intoxicant, that is this sloka is of that kim vadibhyo madasakti vatavigyanam. Then the supari example that we gave, that we have discussed, that the reddish tinge, for that the sloka is tambulaya puga churanam yoga raga ivotitah. Raga means here the reddish color. So tambula means it is the betel leaf, and puga churanam and the supari, when they are yoga, they are joined, and what we get is the reddish color, that ivotitah. This is the thing. Then again what we will see, that what about liberation? Now the question comes, what about liberation? Basically let us so this is one thing. So what about liberation? So what they say, that liberation is the death of this conscious body. So what they say, that when this body disintegrates, what we get is liberation. That's why here they say that sukhameva swargah, that there is no heaven outside there where we will go after death. What is sukha? What we feel the pleasure, this is sukha. Dukhameva narkaha, the pain that we feel here is narka and maranameva apavargaha, that is death is liberation. There is no such thing that there is moksha and all those things. So that's why it's a, because moksha cannot be perceived. So that's why I say that death is liberation. So that is one thing. Now again, one thing that again for the Charvaks, the early Charvaks were mainly said to be dhurta, or the cunning, because they were involved in what do you say, the gross material enjoyments. So, but later Charvaks are said to be sushikshit or educated, and for them the gross dhurta Charvaks always believe that the conscious body is the soul, that is the dehatmavadins. However, as the sushikshit Charvaks or the educated Charvaks came, who had higher morality and all those things, they believed that soul has eternal knowledge and it persists with body, there is no migration. Further, there were other people who believed that it is also Indriyatmavadin, that means the senses are the soul. Some believed that it Pranavadin, that is the vital principle or the prana is the soul. And some believed that it is Atmamanavadin, that the mind is the soul. Basically, apart from that, there are some other things that we will discuss. Now, later we have discussed over here theory of illicit generalization we have discussed. Now we will go. Why Charvak school is said to be positivism? Because they believe only in positive facts. Positive facts, what can be verified as such. So what you can feel that can only be verified. What is there? Like I cannot verify whether I have a soul or not. So that's why it is said a thorough positivism school. Now criticism, there are some criticism against the refutation of Hanuman. I am just telling you some things. There are also criticisms for the Bhuta Chaitanyavad, Dehatmavad and all those things that I feel you must read it by yourself from your textbooks. The purpose of here discussing is we are just having a broad outlook of the topic so that you can feel that you are comfortable with that. So now the Jaina argument against refutation of inference by the Charvak. So they say that when Charvak wants to prove a point, what they have to say, that either they remain silent, they don't say anything, and if they don't say anything, that argument cannot be proved. But when they try to reason, they try to infer what his opponent is going to say. For example, if the Charvak is saying that inference cannot be proved, the opponent will say that inference can be proved and for this reasons. So when the Charvak will feel that, then the Charvak will infer that okay, my opponent is going to say this. So in this way, he himself is using inference, and that's why the moment the Charvak says that inference is wrong, he himself is using inference to feel the inference, and that's why it is wrong. Then the another thing is that the Charvak says that Hanuman is many times wrong. If you go by the same logic, the perception is also many times false. Like the mirage that we have, the snake in the rope, that is Rajvam Bhujanga Pratibhasitam Vai, what Sankaracharya beautifully uses in the Viveka Chudamani, and there is also hallucination. Now, for example, the most important criticism that you can write is of Nyaya. Basically, when you are writing the criticism of refutation of inference, the Nyaya criticism must always be there and that should not be compromised with. So then another here comes the Samanya Lakshan Pratyaksha Praman that the Nyaya uses. We will be thorough with it once we go to the Nyaya school. And also the Nyaya says that many non-perceptible elements must be recognized, like the time, space and atom. If you will say that I will not believe in time, there will be chaos in the world. That will make our knowledge base limited. Then another Kant also says that sensation, when organized by reason, you cannot only say that sensation is the only thing that gives knowledge. It must be organized by reasons. You must be aware of the categories of Kant. Then only it gives knowledge. This is the thing. Further, there is another argument by the Bodha school, by the Sotantrika Buddhism, and that we will come when we are into Buddhism, because the moment I say that you might not understand it. Now the next part comes, what is the ethics. This is also another part. Before ethics, let us discuss what are the purusharthas. Because in Hinduism, there are 4 purusharthas. That is the dharma, artha, kama and moksha. Dharma is dharayati iti dharma. The basic principles, the duty boundness that you are following in the day-to-day life, it is dharma. By using those dharma, you should acquire artha, that is money. And by using those money, you should indulge in the sensual pleasures or the kama, so that you can fulfill your desires. And once your desires are fulfilled, you should move towards moksha. This is the normal Hinduism belief, that is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. However, for the Charvaks, they cannot see the dharma, they cannot perceive the dharma, and they cannot perceive the moksha. So that's why what do they believe? They only believe in the kama and artha. And basically for this, they are always indulged in the sensual pleasures. And the moment you are indulged in the sensual pleasures, you are hedonistic. And that is the reason why Charvaks are misunderstood. Or they are grossly misunderstood, like Epicureans. Epicureans, you must read that by your own. What is Epicureans? And they don't believe in dharma and moksha. So basically, what we have discussed, that there is no liberation. We have discussed earlier also. That's why they don't believe in moksha, and they also don't believe in dharma, because they don't believe that there is an eternal something principle that guides a human being. So next, now the what comes is the ethics. So ethics of Charvak is mostly, you can see that the gross Charvak, the Dhurta Charvaks mostly believed in egoistic hedonism, and the Sisuksik Charvaks believed in hedonism and secular morality. And basically, this is the things. Like here comes the another sloka that we have that we must discuss over here. The sloka over here is the last sloka that we are left, that is bhasmi bhutasya dehasya punaragamanak kutah. If I say the whole of the sloka over here, the sloka is yavat jivet sukham jivet rinam kritva ghritam pivet bhasmi bhutasya dehasya punaragamanak kutah. That means till the time you are living, live happily. Yavat jivet sukham jivet rinam kritva ghritam pivet. That even if you have to take a loan and buy ghee and drink it. That means even if you have to take a loan to enjoy all the sensual pleasures, please do enjoy. What they said later, that is the bhasma bhutasya dehasya punaragamana kutah. That means the body is ultimately going to be destroyed when you are getting liberation. But liberation, according to them, is the death. According to them, is the death of this conscious body. So bhasma bhutasya dehasya, this body is going to get destroyed. Punaragamana kutah, from where it will come back to pay back all those things. So this is something what is a very cornerstone part of their ethics. So this prescribes that they are much more indulged in the sensual pleasures, and even they say that you should not sacrifice materialistic pleasures for any other thing. Like they say that it is like you are denying to eat fish because it is boons. You are denying to plant food crops just because they might get destroyed due to something. So that's why they are saying that don't go after moksha and all those things and deny yourself all the sensual pleasures. Rather, enjoy all the sensual pleasures, and this forms a very integral part of their ethics. And basically, this is the reason why they are also misunderstood as mostly sensualistic philosophy. However, there is an importance of Charvak. The importance of Charvak school is that number one, it saved Indian philosophy from dogmatism, because basically at those point of times everyone was going for spiritualism, like the khoj, antarman ki khoj, that they were finding a purpose to their lives, and for that mostly many of the people were going to sannyas. If everyone would have gone for sannyas and no one would have indulged in materialism, how would the generation would have progressed? And further, we must have seen that if you go to the Western philosophy, that there is a school of after rationalism, you will see that what Leibniz has brought, he had taken rationalism to the ultimate thing that led to dogmatism, and in fact for the Hume also, that they led the empiricism school to dogmatism. So that is the thing. Dogmatism is something like a very blind belief or something. So it saved Indian philosophy from the dogmatism, and it provided counter arguments to them. It made the highly spiritual philosophical school to look into the things that material things do matter a lot. And further, it also enriched the Indian philosophy by providing a balancing thing. Like it balanced the spiritualism with materialism. That's why the importance of Charvak is very, very, very high. And this is one of the most beautiful school of Indian philosophy. And this is a Gnostic school. So basically, we must read all these things. This is also, it is said that it is pluralistic materialism. Why pluralistic materialism? Because it is pluralistic materialism because they believe in the plural entities, like the four tattvas, the four bhutas, that is the Prithvi, Apati, Javayu, that is the earth, water, fire and air. That's why it is also said the pluralistic materialism. So basically, there are some more things that you need to learn, that is the arguments in favor of Dehatmavad and the criticisms and all those things. They are minor things. You can read them out of that. And this is all what I wanted to discuss about the Charvak school. So basically, it might be very difficult for the new learners to understand what all things are going on. However, the ones who have read philosophy or Charvak for 1 or 2 times, they will find it like we have got the gist of the whole of the school over here. So basically, if I were to summarize Charvak, the one line that defines the Charvak is the pratyakshamevam ekam pramanam. That is, perception is the only praman, and I've repeated it so many times, therefore you must be remembering it. That's it. That's all from my side, and this is what I wanted to discuss with you. Maybe I'll come up with the next session on Jainism very soon. So that's it. Thank you again, and please write to me if you feel some issues, and if you feel that I have said something incorrect or I need to say add something just because I'm not in touch with the subject for a long time. You can please write it to me. Thank you again. Namaste.